All right, guys. Sorry for the wait. Alrighty, let me clear this out. Can everyone hear me okay? Everything sounding good? Hello, hello. Got a slightly new setup here, so hopefully everything works out all right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Everyone's good. Okay. Awesome. Just get this set up. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone's well. Good to see some familiar names. I would say faces, but we don't really see each other, unfortunately. All right. Get some music going. Just checking on the puppy. Sorry, I was walking my dog and hard to rush him, so I made sure to start this a little early so I could ensure that he had some time to do his thing as he's on a schedule. Anyway. All right, we're back with Mr. Reeves. Man, the myth, the legend. Sorry, just getting situated. All right. Alex, what's up? Good, awesome. If anybody has any questions, again, always feel free to ask. If you have a question for like me demoing something and it's pretty simple, I'm happy to do it. If it'll be a bit more involved, I'll have to defer to, if you want to schedule a time with me, we can arrange some lessons. So it's something that I've been doing now for a little bit, and it's been going well. I've had a couple students show up, and it's awesome. So if you guys would like to learn any of this in a more formal or, personalized manner, feel free to send me an email or send me a direct message on Instagram, and I'd be more than happy to schedule a session with you or an ongoing one. If you'd like to do a kind of a bit of a mentorship, that can be arranged as well. So, and we can cover whatever you like. We can focus on likenesses, or we can focus on pipeline, just basic, um, fundamentals of just working in a pipeline professionally and what's expected of you, and getting your speed up if you want to just do that, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you guys are interested, let me know. So I think we were focusing on the hair last time, and then I just got off on a long talk about the industry and being prepared and what to do for it and all that. And so for anyone who was upset with that, I'm sorry if you're back. Thank you for coming back. I'll uh, I'll try to keep that to a minimum, and but I think it was helpful. I think it's definitely helpful for some who are still figuring out, their path and their artistic journey. Everyone's path is different, and there's some common ground rules that I think help a lot of us kind of, figure out how to go about finding our place in the industry or just in work and life. VK, good to see you, sir. Or ma'am, I'm not sure. Miss, I don't know who VK is. Alex and Isan. Um, Vanity Dav. Can you read? Um, John Emerson, hey man, first time here. Love the idea of mentorship. I'm planning on getting into ZBrush. Awesome, John. Hey man, if you're interested, let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Exodus, what's up, sir? Honestly, need mentorship. Hey, well, that's what I'm here for. I'd be more than happy to schedule weekly or bi-weekly sessions. Just kind of like if you guys ever took a musical instrument, same kind of thing. You show up every week, give you some homework assignments, stuff for you to do. Usually, it won't take more than a few days out of your week, but it's enough to keep you practiced and get you going, and then we level up and keep going forward from there. It can't be overstated just how much practice is what helps you get better at anything, and that's like no duh, it's logical, but it helps to have someone kind of keeping you accountable. Like even this for me is helpful. It's like this is great to help me keep this piece going, and knowing that I have to show up and, and deliver something. And, it's a personal art piece. It's something that I've wanted to do and have had in the back of my head for a long time. But like anything that's personal, you give yourself probably sometimes a little too much wiggle room or a little too much criticism. And the key is to find that balance between the two. In my case, I think I can give myself too much wiggle room because I have other things that distract me or draw my attention away, or work, when it ebbs and flows. Right now, it's could be better. Everything I think in the industry is still kind of getting back on its feet, and so everything's slow, and and there's just a lot of desperation out there. A lot of people are really looking for work right now. So it's a weird mixture. It's like there's some great projects out there, but then sometimes they'll just get taken up by someone faster if you didn't hear about it first. It's like sharks to a drop of blood in the water. So anyway, so yeah, interesting times. So anyway, so it's crazy to see that when you have a half face. I mean, it's something that's like almost like an artistic cliche that people have done for a while now, where they have a front face and then the profile of the view, and they use the profile to cut out for the front of the face, and right in the middle it kind of looks right. It's such a weird thing. Like that's happening right here, where you see the the one lens of the sunglasses like framing his eye just about correctly. It's interesting. I feel like he's gonna look so much better with sunglasses on, so I'm gonna try to figure that out maybe in this stream as well. Um, After I get the hair in a place that I like. I don't like that star right there, but I'm not sure that ZBrushing it again is going to give me much better results. But I could try one thing. I could try Z guides, ZBrush guides. So maybe I'll do that quick and see if that helps just keep the flow going in one direction. There we are. And go back to actual. Let's just isolate this for a sec. So for anyone who doesn't know, this brush lets you give guides that suggest or infer or guide, the topology when you Z-remesh. So when you automate the retopology of something, it also correlates to brush size. So a smaller brush size means denser points, I guess you could say, along its spline. So that's what I'm doing here, is making them a bit smaller so that they don't just jump to each other. Like that when they're bigger, they can have a more like magnetic effect to each other, and I don't really need that or want that in this case. So the hair has a pretty backward flow from front to back. So just trying to have the topology just be very simple. I mean, I could even, if I really wanted to be, I don't know, more pushy about it, I could just take a Z-sphere, or I mean not Z-sphere, excuse me, just a regular polysphere, and reform it to this and like kind of wrap it around it, or use even Z-wrap to do that. But that all feels a bit excessive when this feels like it's almost there and it just needs topology redone. So I'm gonna try this out. Hopefully this gives me the results I'm looking for. And we're just gonna go across. That's strange. Let's try this way. That's better. And I'm stopping before I'm reaching the curvature or past the line of sight, because whenever you go past the line of sight of your object with Z-remesh guides, they tend to draw a weird like straight line. It's straight to your vision, but when you start rotating it, you see that it's like this long line that's shot and hit the canvas, the background of your document, and then you have to undo it. And so, to avoid that, just stop drawing your line before you go past the line of sight. You know, the point of curvature there, where the horizon of your object. And also likes to see through your object and connect to points behind itself. So that's something else that's you got to finagle and you got to kind of work with. All right, I'm gonna go like this. Yeah, all right, that works. And sorry, I think I see some stuff in the chat and in my periphery. Let me just finish this up. That's annoying. Yeah, well, I'll deal with it. Stick of that pinkish reddish color. It's always the default for polyspheres. All right, and the back is like whatever. I mean, I guess I should just run a few down here just to tell it what to do. Yep, see there was that offshoot. Well, doesn't have to be too precise here. That should be able to work. Okay, let's see what happens here. This is always kind of a gamble. You're always just like, let's roll the dice. That's why if you need really precise topology, you want to go and either use your ZModeler toolbrush or your Maya, copy of Maya. Just jump in there. So adaptive size. So curve strength, that correlates directly to the curves that we're using here for the guides. So, I don't know. Screw it. Let's just say 45. Adaptive size. Let's let it be 25. Detect edges and ZRemesh. See what happens. Nice. Yeah, not bad. A little funky over here. A little annoying. Let's undo that. Okay, so it's probably from this line. So what if I just delete? So to delete your curves, if you're doing this, you hold Alt and then just swipe across one. Let's just do that one and see what happens in that same area. Because I'm just trying to have it be more uniform, but it's still kind of meh. You got a star there, but I mean, I guess that's workable. That's fine. Yeah, whatever. That's not bad. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think with subdivision too, that won't even be an issue. So, all right, I'm happy. Good enough. All right, so he's got yellow hair now. I'm just changing lighting a little bit just to see without shadow, just to kind of see the barrier, the volume, the parameters, you know, the extent of how far it goes on the other side. So Sorry. All right, chat. Sir, for sure. Awesome. Thank you for your time. Sure. Do I do portfolio reviews? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We could schedule a time, and I can hop on and do something for you, like a nice little, you know. I mean, when you want portfolio review, I'm assuming you want some critique, of course, and you know, suggestions, right? You know, so that'd be probably a good. I mean, it depends on what your portfolio is, but in general, I mean, estimate is probably like 30 minutes. A good half hour would probably be more than enough to really go through it. And yeah, yeah, we can schedule something for sure. BK. Hey, fine. It's okay. Hey, no. Sorry, it's trash day out there, so they're. Hey, it's okay. Chill. Hey, want a treat? No treat if you're barking. Gotta be quiet. Go lay down. Sorry, guys. Ein. No. No more. I want she'll bark again. Flipping PS5s to buy a lifetime license. How goes work on Neo? It's going. It's getting there. I'm gonna try to really push it forward more. Oh my god, those trucks are so loud. I think I have noise canceling on this. You probably can hear it, but freaking loud. Mr. D, Mr. Daniel. How you doing, Chris? We'll also be working on sunglasses today as well. We do sunglasses. Will they be 3D printed separately? Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been debating, and I think they will be. Yeah, I mean, I'm like pretty much decided, like, I think they're definitely going to be 3D printed separately, and they'll just kind of insert into the face. What I am still trying to figure out is the temples. If I'm going to, like, build them in, like, actually sculpt them into the head, or if I still, I mean, because they're so thin, I think they have to be sculpted into the head, because to print something that thin is so hard to have it come out correctly, because it's the scale I'm going for. I think they're still going to be smaller than most support structures. So like I feel like that detail can come off of a larger surface, but trying to print that thin, like basically almost like a fishing line, you know, just a very thin structure for the frames is just, it's too hard. I don't think the printer can do it. I could try, but I just feel like it'd be a waste, you know. And then you got that little piece in there you got to fish out, which is annoying. It's like in the liquid, in the resin. So I think the lens. Sorry, so to answer your question, I think probably just the lenses will be separate. I might even actually add the bridge and just extrude that from his face so that the frames on the sides and the bridge will all be part of the head, and then the glasses will be the lenses will be the only thing actually printed separate for those. Gozi for Maya 2022. Not sure what you mean by that. You mean you're saying I should go Z it to Maya? Maya's so expensive. I know. It's not. You can get a student license, or at least you could. I don't know if it's the same anymore. I have to check. Actually, I haven't opened mine in a while. I hope mine hasn't expired yet. But if you're an instructor or a student, which I was both, I'm still an instructor, you can get a educational license, and that's basically free. It just says on it then that, you know, this file was made with, you know, instructor license or educational license or whatever. No big deal. But yeah, it's not cheap, but you know, it's also a very incredibly useful tool. I mean, it's what we use to make everything you see in movies, you know. So everything pretty much you've ever seen animated in a film has either gone through Maya, 3ds Max, or I mean, those are really the two big ones. I don't really know. And they render out through the RenderMan or V-Ray typically, or Arnold. Those are the big ones. You know, I mean, I'm sure some people have used Blender for things, and you know, what else? Lightwave, Cinema 4D. But Cinema 4D is definitely leaning more towards motion graphics, and it can be used for animation, like it can be used as a full pipeline tool. But I'm sure it lacks some things. I don't know exactly what, but certain plugins or things that Maya has. I'm sure there are workarounds through it too. But it's not looked at as the, you know, as the premier professional 3D package compared to Maya or Softimage back in the day, or 3ds Max. You know, those are the current ones, the big ones. Autodesk just has the corner on the market, but Blender's coming up. I mean, it seems like Blender's still coming after Maya. Topo Gun works for Retopo as well. Yep, that's a popular one. I've never used it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Let him use ZBrush. Suppose you use Octane Render. Yeah, you can use... sorry, I just blasted the mic there. Yeah, you can use Octane in Maya. Not in ZBrush, though. Excuse me. Have you... Love, Death, and Robots? Yep. That was made with ZBrush. Was that made with ZBrush? I mean... I'm sure, like, the in the opening, I'm not sure if they rearranged all the orders, but there's for me, what the opening episode was like the monsters that have people's minds jacked into them that attack each other. That was done at Blur, and I know for sure they use ZBrush to do the monster detail, like creature detail, you know. But I think they rendered in either, because I know Blur uses 3ds Max a lot, so I'm pretty sure they were probably rendering out of 3ds Max, you know, I mean, using it as the animation tool. But it could have been Maya too, I'm sure, but those are primarily the ones they use, and then I think they were using V-Ray, if I'm not mistaken, or Arnold, but I'm pretty sure it's V-Ray, I think. But yeah, the writing, man, Love, Death, and Robots writing, like 99% of or 98% of those shorts were just god-awful, in my opinion. Like, horrible writing. Great visuals, but terrible storytelling for the most part. I thought there was like only 2 or 3 that I really enjoyed. Everything else was just, you know, a few of them looked great visually, but were just dumb, just basal, just not intelligent, not spectacular writing at all. Which is like, I mean, everything looks great today visually, visual effects. Like, who cares? You know, it's like, all right, it's a great, pretty tech demo, but it feels idiotic. So that's my opinion. I have a harsh opinion about some things, but I really kind of hated Love, Death, and Robots overall. I think there's a few episodes that were fun and cool. I like the one with cats. I thought the one with cats that sort of took over the world and the robots were kind of revisiting humanity's like post-apocalyptic future was funny and fun. Anyway, I don't want to get off into it too much, but would love to see an improvement on it, and if they make another season or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if there's I think I heard someone talking about a second season, but I don't know if it's happening. Dope was the best episode next to the 3 robots. Yeah. What would you recommend instead of LDR? Are you talking about LDR, low dynamic range, or what do you mean by LDR? Sorry. Or Love, Death, and Robots. Duh. Sorry. Wow, brain fart. My brain is just immediately moving off of that. What would I recommend instead of it? I mean, what do you mean instead? Instead in which way? Euceris, what's up, sir? Good day. I'm doing okay, man. I'm hanging in there. How are you? Like the Lost with an Alien episode. Lost with an Alien. Which one was that? I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's been like at least a couple of years. The one with the killer robot dog was stupid, honestly. Killer robot dog. I'm forgetting some of these because it's been a while. Sorry, I keep blasting. I see my volumes go into the red. I'm like, I don't want to blast you guys. Where's my gain on this thing? I don't want to make anyone deaf. All right, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. There we go. All right, bring that down a little bit. All right. Visual with writing, Hive Mind, Man Lost in Space. Oh, visual with writing. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So Hive Mind, Man Lost in Space. Cam, can you clarify? I'm sorry, I'm not really following. Sounds good to me. No clipping. First episode was cool. The cats one was good. That's about it. Yeah, I agree. He's talking about the episode with the monster you were talking about. Okay, yeah, with the monsters battling each other. I mean, again, I thought the writing was kind of like, it was okay. It was simplistic, you know, but I don't know. Just felt like it could have been better. and it just felt, I don't know, it just felt like it was so trying to be so contemporary, you know. Um, Spaceship got lost during intergalactic travel and crashes against kind of spiderweb. Huh. I'm forgetting that one. Sorry. Why use fiber mesh for hairs? Because I'm going to 3D print it, Uceris. So can't really 3D print those thin fibers, those tubules. I'd have to Dynamesh it together anyway then, and it would just look all clumpy and weird. So I think it's better to sculpt in the hair. Siva Blue, is there a cat episode? Yes, there's a cat episode. Oh, what you meant? Other than a series instead of, okay, that's better all around. I mean, that's all like personal taste, I guess, you know. But series that's better than that. See, that's the thing. Unfortunately, there aren't many other anthologies with a mixture of great, you know, great visuals, like on par with what they have in Love, Death, and Robots. You know, I'd almost think of, I mean, so it was funny. Speaking of the Matrix and this, I was revisiting the Ultimate Matrix Collector's Edition. I picked it up like a month or two ago. I've always had the Matrix, the first film, and I had the original trilogy on DVD like back in the day. But I decided, because I was missing the Animatrix, because I hadn't really watched it in a long time. So, sorry, let me fix this music quick. So I picked up the Ultimate Edition of the Matrix trilogy, yeah, like last month, and the Animatrix is awesome. I love it. Again, not all the stories are great, but most of them are, I think. And I don't know, if you haven't seen that, watch it. I mean, it's a whole mixture of art styles. There's one that's very like hyperreal CG. The opening is like overly sexualized for stupid reasons. It feels like it's written for like a 14-year-old kid. You know, it's just like, meh. Like, it's just, I don't have a problem with nudity, but it just feels like it's so like objectifying and stupid. It's just a dumb, I don't know, just a dumb placement of that. But after that, I feel like the whole story of them in the real world and in the Matrix is fun and exciting and different, and it's a visual feast. You know, it's this really gorgeous CG, and that was really pushing it back then too. So that was around the time when we saw, I think it was the same company that did the first CG. It was a weird film, but it was visually very striking for its time. Was the Final Fantasy Spirits Within. So that was an interesting look. And they've only gotten better from there, of course. But anyway, so Flight of the Osiris, that's the one that's popular on the Animatrix. I love the first two stories in the... Is it the first two or the second two? I forget. But it's called the Second Renaissance, Part 1 and 2. There's 2 episodes that connect. Those are great. And that kind of gives you the whole backstory, sort of the general backstory of how the Matrix was formed and how humanity was overtaken. It's pretty cool. I thought it was, I mean, I would have loved to see something like that. Like, they could make, I would love to see them make a series. Like, if HBO were to hire some great writers and make a whole, like have a definitive end, you know what I mean, lead up to the Matrix, but follow different people. Maybe even just tell the backstories of how Morpheus and Trinity and Cypher and all the rest of them, how they all switch, and what's his name, if they all follow their own, like do their own episodes, you know, like each episode is 2 hours, to make it like a mini movie of each of them finding, you know, Morpheus would be the first, I guess, or even actually would be the first one, I guess, freeing Morpheus, and that whole interaction. That'd be cool if they just did like a 2 hour movie for each character for like a season, and then the last episode would be all of them kind of going through some sort of adventure together, you know, as the world is collapsing and as the Matrix has been taking hold. So you could probably start before the Matrix, I guess, retell the first Renaissance or second Renaissance, and then lead up into all the characters being freed, coming together, and then like leading up to them finding Neo. I think that'd be awesome. That'd be a very cool prequel that would be canon and could really you know, give people some cool insight into that whole world and connect it more from our world that we're living in today. And then they could even make it eerily connected if they were really smart, because I've been watching a lot of videos and updates on Neuralink by Elon Musk and his other co-founder, who I can't remember his name right now. But it's pretty awesome. Like, Neuralink is creepy awesome. I mean, I'm so morbidly fascinated with the technology, and yet I would never, not never, but I mean, yeah, kind of probably never wanted it in my head. But it's just the potential. It really is. It makes me keep thinking about wirelessly interacting with my computer, in this case ZBrush, and sculpting at the speed of thought rather than sculpting with a hand and my eyes. It's almost like your mind and what you see on the screen would be more tied together, and you would be able to just create with thought, and that would cut out so much. I mean, that's the dream. That's what my dream has been for a long time, and a lot of other people, I think, for creation. Just creating things. I mean, because once you can 3D model something really accurately at the speed of thought, you're really, I mean, the speed of development would just go through the roof. You know, I mean, you would be kind of a god among men, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? To be able to cut out the physical, the arms and the all the things that you have to use to translate what you see up here to what you see on screen. If you could just move at the speed of thought, my God, like, that would be incredible. I mean, the future is nuts. So that I'm very interested in. If they would write a story like connect the Matrix to real tech that's present today and cleverly intertwine it so that it leads up into the whole, you know, jacking into the brain. It just, you know, and that's, I've thought about that technology and this, what the Matrix has shown us in the films and then where we are and where we're going. I'm like, it doesn't feel like that impossible. It really is creepy how plausible it really feels, which is what everyone felt like when they walked out of the movie. Everyone was like, are we in the Matrix? It makes you question your reality and think about that concept, of course. And so I've always been just, you know, I guess intellectually tickled by those ideas and where technology is going. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting off here. I'm not sculpting. I'm just talking. But anyway, I just think that there's a lot of potential there for good storytelling. So anyway, yeah, that was hard. That's a long, trailed off answer to what other series would I recommend. If you haven't seen the Animatrix, watch the Animatrix. It's great. I mean, I'm trying to think of other series that are science fiction, or at least that have great computer graphics. And, you know, that's the thing. There aren't a lot. There really aren't. It's just kind of a shame because we live in this era where everyone can make some great stuff now. It's pretty accessible now. I mean, like, especially with Unreal becoming more and more popular, it just feels like there's little excuse for all of us to not make, you know, which is what I'm working on, my short here and there. But after that, I'm sure I have other things in the back of my head that I'm already, you know, working on that I would love to see realized. So it's just a matter of like, it's all about time and money. That's what it always comes down to, is having that extra income so that you can spend the time to do what you really want to do instead of, you know, working to make ends meet and then recuperating before you have to do it all over again. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really think of any other series right now that I'd recommend. I mean, Westworld's pretty cool, but again, like anything, first season's great, second season's okay, third season's like, again, like, meh, meh. Could have been better. Should have been better, I think. I think they had that one writer who was, she worked on Westworld and she worked on Last of Us 2 and just tried to plug in, like, it's just when things get a little too political, it's just like, ugh, I don't want, you know, we hear enough of that in the news and everywhere else and social media. Like, we want entertainment to be a little more devoid of like current politics all the time. It gets really cringy and irritating, and it felt like there was a fair amount of injection of that in like season 3 a bit. And you know, just things get a little heavy handed, or like they think they're being clever and sort of packaging it in this show, and it's really kind of obvious. And it's like, I don't know. It's like people who are just happily to be spoon fed. That's fine, you know, without having their own thoughts. They just want to be injected with whatever they should be thinking. But I like to keep things a little bit more neutral so everyone can enjoy it and not make it so like lopsided in some areas. I don't know. So it just felt like, I don't know, could have been better. And I wish that, I forget her name was Haley something, whatever. Like, not a fan. But that's me. I mean, some people like it, you know. But so yeah, I'm curious. I mean, hopefully they I don't know, improve some of the writing and ideas being thrown around. and scale too. I mean, it was just like two female robots like fighting each other at the end. It was like, meh. Could have been, should have been. I don't know. I guess we want bigger scale. We want more dramatic, more just more stakes, higher stakes. I don't know. It just felt. I feel like maybe it'll mean more once we come to season 4 if that's all being put together properly. So I was like, there's elements I like about it, elements I didn't. I don't know, but I love Jeffrey Wright. I love Jeffrey Wright and his character Arnold. I think it's great. And I really do like Dolores in a lot of ways, and I love the actress. As far as the character she plays, Evan Rachel Wood, yeah. Um, I think she does a good job for sure. And Tandy Newton's awesome too. I mean, they're all great actors and actresses. I think they all do a great job. I think it's just some of the writing could be significantly better. Um, it's always about too. It's like, how much can you do with the time and budget you have, but also I feel sometimes like there's a lot of filmmaking that can be done better, and it wouldn't cost anymore. It's just a better idea. I mean, like placing the camera in different places, right? It doesn't cost anymore to move the camera over here to have this angle. It's just cinematography. It's just choices. You can figure things out. If you know what if you're fully versed in the available tools to you and the right people, you can make an exponentially better story or film or episode with less money, or with as little money as you have, if you just know how to pull the right resources and you have the right friends. And that's really what it comes down to, is knowing the right people and just knowing your tool sets, like really knowing them well, so then you can actually like really maximize them. That's really important. So I think there's a lot to be said about knowing your mediums soup to nuts, like knowing, if a director, I don't know a lot of, that's the thing that's interesting too. I'm going off on a bunny trail here. I don't know a lot of great, I don't know any, I think almost any, no, I shouldn't say any. There's a few, but there's very few great directors, writer directors who come from visual effects. Most of them are pretty terrible. If they're from visual effects and they become a writer director, it's usually pretty god awful. Great visuals and cool implementation and like way to show them off, but terrible writing skills, terrible storytelling. Which is why I'm more excited than ever to kind of try to put my stuff out there, and hopefully it, resonates well with people, because I'm pretty confident I can tell a good story. But it's just so many visual effects guys who were visual effects supervisors or artists, and then they go into filmmaking, and it's just terrible. It's just really basic, cringy, cliche, predictable. Sorry, I'm being negative. I'm just being a hater, but it's true, and it's like it's happened so many times. It's like you can predict it. If they're from visual effects, 9 times out of 10 you're right. If they're making a movie, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be dog poop, unfortunately. But one exception, interesting half exception, I would say, would be Neil Blomkamp. Amazing eye for visuals and just great work in District 9. Fantastic storytelling. Loved it. Awesome. Very cool allegory to apartheid, and it really worked. I thought it was great. Loved it. And then Elysium was like, pretty bad. Again, great visuals, but just unlikable characters, weird writing choices. And then they didn't even like the stills they released. I remember, as a sci-fi nerd and someone who loves science and real tech, they showed these great shots of Matt Damon holding a railgun, but it says chemrail on it. So I'm like, how would you incorporate chemistry and electromagnetic railguns together? I'm very intrigued. I'd love to hear the science behind that, or like their theoretical ideas. Not even mentioned, not even touched on, and they feature it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a featured still. It's like, and you put the name on it, so you're like, you'd assume if you're branding something in their world and it's really prominently featured, it's the only words on the screen, and it's your hero character. I mean, it's just like you immediately expect, oh, they're going to focus on that a little bit. There'll be some. I like hearing some logical thinking behind the tech in a fictional story or world, even if, if you can try to make it make sense, that's more interesting than just being like, it just exists. Meh. Like, that's such lazy writing, such lazy storytelling. And maybe you're like, oh, we don't want to focus on that, we want to focus more on the character development. I get that, but even just a line or two, something to kind of flesh out the world a little bit more, you know, like make it feel a little bit more plausible, a little bit more real. Something I thought The Matrix did very well. They gave you a backstory. At least they gave you dialogue about what happened, right? And they gave you some sort of basis for how things work. And that just kind of grounds it a little bit more and makes it feel more believable, right? That to me is that's good storytelling. That's important. And yeah, we don't see that much. You know, then he did what was after Elysium? Chappie. Oh God. Oh. Oh. Such a turd. And so many good actors. They had Hugh Jackman and Sigourney Weaver. And that the band that can't act worth anything. The singers, what's their names? Die Antwoord. Terrible. Horrible. Again, bad idea to make your protagonists criminals and like degenerates. It's just no, most people can't relate to that, so it's not going to sell well. And it's all about them kind of corrupting Chappie. It's like that's not. It's all negative. You know what I mean? It's nothing. I mean, it can be like dumb fun, I guess, for people to enjoy, but it's not a masterpiece. It's not great, you know. And it's like you have the opportunity to tell a great story, and instead you just, you know, just shat it away. You know, I mean, the world needs more great storytelling. You know, and that's why I was just like, man, it was sad. It was disappointment because you're expecting something great and to be on this fantastic adventure, to feel something, you know, deep about these characters, and then you wind up walking away being like, that was horrible. It's a bummer. It's too bad. So anyway, I'm gonna step off my Apple box here, my Apple crate, my soapbox, and keep going about other things. I'm sorry, I'm just being a critic right now, and no one really asked for my whole opinion, so sorry, not sorry. Sorry, what did I miss in the chat? Square Pictures did the animation on Flight, and Flux Style was cool. Let's see here. Didn't see the first episode of this, but why did you choose Neo? Oh, I love The Matrix, and there's been this piece that I've had in the back of my head that I've been wanting to make for forever, based on the final blow in this scene of the government building lobby. You were very generous with Nicolas Cage. Sorry, I'm not following. If you could do that, then how do you think artists would separate themselves at that point? Would it just rely upon their concepts rather than execution? Fan-made Star Wars short series on YouTube is incredible in my opinion. I haven't seen it. I have to check it out. If I could do, sorry, this is delayed, so I'm trying to figure out if you could do that, what is that? Then how do you think artists would separate themselves at that point? Sorry, if you want to clarify, that'd be great. Yeah, I think some fan-made stuff can be conceptually better. Usually it doesn't look the same as like a high budget product. Most of the time it doesn't. But their concepts of their writing or their feel for where the story should go is a lot of times probably, well, depends on the, you know, what fan film you're talking about or whatever. But a lot of times a collective or smart few individuals of a fan base can often write some better, more engaging or more emotionally cohesive stories about a brand than some name director that some studio will just hire, and the director might like the film or the brand and they'll just they like it, but they don't love it, they don't understand it, they're not as like obsessed or consumed with it as a lot of fans are. But even then, amongst that, there's a lot of obsessed fans that could never write a good story. So it's like you have to find that right person or several people that really understand the brand intellectually, like what makes it work, what makes it sell, and what are the core like tenets that people love about it, and then let them glorify that. That's what they need to allow to do. Sorry, I'm hearing lyrics while I'm trying to speak and it's confusing me. But that's, I think, what studios need to do is find those passionate people who understand the brand and are intelligent about it, because there's a lot of people who might be passionate but they don't have any real like brains about how to tell a good story in that universe. Like, I remember that, I heard this verse as a kid, like in the Bible. It's like zeal without knowledge is sin, right? Like being excited about something, and I think it makes sense. Like even in just like from an intellectual standpoint, not spiritually speaking. I mean, just looking at things from mindsets. If you're really excited about something, but you don't understand it, or you can't effectively communicate in it, your excitement is useless from a product standpoint. From like your excitement is valuable as a consumer, like people want you to be excited about their product because that makes money. But from a controlling standpoint, from somebody who's guiding a ship, your excitement's just doing nothing. It's just like steering the ship around like crazy. It's not guiding it toward a crescendo, a coup de grace, toward a grand outcome. And so that's where I look at like a lot of fans can't do the work, right? Because they're fans, they're not creators. They're consumers, not creators. They might be excited, but can't apply it. So you got to find that right person there. You got to find the right person that's really understands the brand and can glorify it, can show that they can really maximize that. I mean, that's like the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? And I'm like always blown away that how many times we have such horrible writer directors get a control of great brands and then just make garbage out of them. And it's just like, dude, you have the brand that's so powerful. People wouldn't care really who's attached to it. They just love the brand. They love the characters. They love the world. So you have a captive audience. You already have like a guaranteed installation base, right? Like you have that many people who are definitely going to show up. So why not make it, like don't get a name brand actor, like a famous one. Just get someone who's a no name, but they can play the character really well. And they'll become a name from that brand, right? Like that's always where I'm like, why don't people get this? Why is it consistently like more often than not we get garbage from brands that we love when they're adaptations of a game or a book or whatever, and it's rare that it's the opposite. I'm always frustrated with that, which is why I want to do my own stuff in that department. I want to fix it. At least I want to make sure that my stuff that I put out there is going to be great and that people can bank on that. So then maybe I can get involved with brands that I actually really do love, and I know I could do a better job than like all the stuff that's come before. But that's a problem. It's like it's usually not just the one person that has that kind of control. There's always designed by committee, which always makes it crap most of the time. When you have like 5 other executives or more saying, "Oh, but we need this in there," or "I want this in there," and "I want that," and it's like, ugh, too many hands muddy the water, right? Too many cooks in the kitchen. Anyway, sorry. I know I'm just blabbering here. I'm complaining. I'm venting. Um, Sorry. All right, so let's go divide up again. All right, so now we're really high. We're at 2 million. So I hate how it gets that stuttering. It's like, should change this over to that. Drop down again to subdivision. Sorry, I'm missing chat here, but let me. I think it's more about execution and concept get closer to the move toward becoming one than new. Some people really love The Expanse. Yeah, I've heard about it. Haven't really gotten into it. DX Pro 25. I didn't send that. It's just the Nightbot. But yeah. Sorry about that. Comics Legend. What brush is that? Sorry. Oh, so you asked about the one I'm using right now. It's a /3. If you're asking for the one I'm using for the hair. Yeah, /3. Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, pretty much anything Denis Villeneuve does is awesome. I love his stuff. The Arrival, fantastic. Great. I like Blade Runner 2049. Could have been better, but I mean, it was still, I really enjoyed it for what it was. Like, if you like that world, I feel like they really, again, they glorified it. I think he did a pretty good job of really keeping the tonality and the style and the mystery and the weirdness, the cool oddness of the original, but made it a little bit more. The pacing was better. I would think that was one of the big improvements. Of course, like all the other technological improvements from the years, like color grading and saturation and detail, all that, basic technical stuff was great, and it helps it a lot. But the tonality was really, I thought it kept it really well. And there's that weird kind of melancholy, um there's all these, it's a feel, right? Like, I think Blade Runner really has a distinct feel, and there's an ambience, both in sound and look. There's a stylistic sound to the soundtrack. It feels melancholy. It feels like there's a certain slowness to it, but I feel like the first one's a bit too slow and a bit too quiet. Where I remember, if I was younger and I was watching it and I was in the middle somewhere, and it's just a lot of no soundtrack, barely any sound. It's just, you're just like, you could just fall asleep very easily. So I think Denis did an amazing job of just keeping it well paced, interesting, and there's a certain maturity, I guess, to it too. Even though you wouldn't say it's an incredibly deep story, it's still a very interesting one and emotional to a degree, and just intriguing. I really enjoyed it overall, and the sound design, man. My buddy Jake from Form Labs and I, we saw it together. I think for the first time together at the IMAX here in Hollywood, the TCL Chinese Theater. So it's like a really historic theater, and the IMAX there is phenomenal. Laser projection, really clear picture, and a massive screen, and really good speakers, really good sound system. And we were just sitting pretty close because it was sold out or almost sold out. So we were sitting pretty close to the screen, but it was perfect because we could just lean back and watch it encompass our full vision, which I love, actually. When you could barely, if you're looking straight, you can almost not see the edges of the screen, or it just kind of fully encompasses your vision, and it just feels more immersive, right? And the sound and the bass, we could feel our rib cages shake when certain low frequencies hit the speakers, and I love that feeling. It's like being at a great concert, or like 4th of July or something, where you like, your body is like involuntarily reacting to the sound waves hitting you, and it's great. You're like, wow, feels big. You feel it. You're not literally physically feeling it, not just watching it or emotionally, but you physically are hearing, you're feeling the impact of the sound. That's just great. Again, that's when I saw Interstellar there too. Same kind of thing. You're just like, this is what movies are meant to be. Like, this is a film. This is an experience. I'm just a big fan of adventures, like action adventures, mostly adventure more than action, where it's like Indiana Jones or The Matrix or Interstellar or Jurassic Park, where it's like an adventure can encompass all emotions. You can have a bit of horror, you can have a little bit of romance, you can have comedy, you can have thrills, right? But it's distinctly an adventure where it has a lot of that mixed together, and it's fun. It's just, I feel like that's sort of like, it's an encapsulated, condensed version of an exciting life, of a great life, almost, where you have that roller coaster of the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, and the uncertainties, and yet you come out the other side and being able to at least appreciate it. So yeah, I think that's why, most of all, I'm a fan of those genres, or that genre, I guess, action adventure, because it can encompass the most, I think. And yeah, I feel like that you can add the most meaning to those kind of things. I mean, you can do a lot of meaning, obviously, in a drama, but dramas usually feel like they're dramatic, and so it's not as, you don't have those moments of happiness or those moments of positivity as much. Dramas are usually just more serious, and you're just like, wow, this was a meaningful experience, which is great. I like some great dramas. But an adventure, even like the Count of Monte Cristo, is like, it's a drama, but it's a little bit more of an adventure. It just has enough adventure in it that I really like the Count of Monte Cristo as well, both the book and the film. Anyway, sorry, bunny trails. So back to sculpting hair. Sorry, I talk with my hands a lot too. I gotta like keep my hands on the screen. Sorry. So what else we got here? Hated Chappie. Chappie was horrible. Yes, thank you. Everyone agrees. Into a change the H into an R. Get the fuck in a nutshell. um. Let's see here. Yeah, crappy. That's hilarious. Love the visual effects. Hated the character. Yeah, agreed. Thank you. We're all on the same page. Yeah. Um. What do you use to sculpt? This is ZBrush. Using a graphics tablet, right? Yeah, I'm using a Cintiq. Pure garbage was Men in Black 4. Oh, really? I haven't seen it, but I heard it wasn't good. That's funny because I worked for the director of that of Men in Black. I worked at his company. He was I think the company still exists, but I don't know how they could survive after all of last year unless they were able to shut down without any costs, which it could have done. But Dreamscape Immersive, the director or producer, I think it was producer, I forget, one of the two. He was like a major figurehead though in I think it was probably the producer. I can't remember his name right now because it's been like 3 years or 4 years. But I worked at Dreamscape Immersive for a while, working on some characters for their Indiana Jones-esque game, VR game that you would experience. You go to these places, you go to like Dreamscape Immersive store, retail location, and you get a backpack, which is a computer, and your headset, and whatever gear you're working with. And it's all motion tracked in a large set of rooms or one big room. And so it's like a VR escape room kind of experience, adventure game sort of thing. And anyway, I forget his name. It starts with a W, I think. Walter? Nice guy. I mean, he was a nice guy, and I met some pretty cool, famous actors while I was there, and they liked my work. I had one of my sculptures there, actually, one of my 3D prints of Cupid and Psyche. Cupid, reviving Psyche with his kiss. And it was Catherine O'Hara, I think, and what's his name? From, I guess they're both from Schitt's Creek. But they were both there, and they came by my desk and were talking to me for a while. Really friendly, really nice. She loved my work, and she was like, "I thought it was the La Pieta, the sculpture of Mary holding Christ after crucifixion." And then she realized it was not, but she still was like, "I love it." So she was really sweet, and it was just nice. It was just nice to talk with them like regular, as normal as the people they are, like normal people, and just it was nice that they came to me to speak and say something. I'd just be like, "Hey guys, thanks for." Just said thank you, and it was like, I love your work, Home Alone's great. Anyway, I don't know. It was a fun experience. So working there was cool. But yeah, it's a shame because I remember he was away from the office a lot because he was coming back. Actually, I started before he came back, and then he came back when he was, I think it was in London or somewhere overseas. I think it was London. I think it was UK to do work on Men in Black 4. So he was helping with all that. And then he came back, and I met him, and whatever. He was a nice guy. But yeah, ironic, because Men in Black 4 was just bad. I've only heard. I haven't seen it. I know some people enjoyed it. But I don't know. I thought that those films were fun, but I was never, like, neither here nor there. Not a huge fan, not a hater, really, either. Just like, meh. I like Will Smith. I like a lot of his stuff. But I feel like, again, his work he had a lot better work back in the day, and now it's like, I saw, what was it? I want to say Omega Man, but it's not Omega Man, right? It's Gemini Man. There we go. Another Greek symbol. Was that Greek? Gemini? I forget. Whatever. Anyway, saw Gemini Man. Meh. Big meh. Great visual effects. Again, like the de-aging and the re-CG young version of him look great. Like there are certain shots where a lot of shots where it looked photoreal, and you're like, wow, this looks great. Like, I know it's not real, but it looks real. Like my conscious mind versus what my basal input is conflicting, right? Like that's the feeling you want. It's like when I first saw Jurassic Park as a kid. I know it's not real, but it looks real. How the hell do they do this? I have to know. Like, that's a great feeling. I mean, it's got to be an amazing feeling for the artists who worked on that stuff, but as an audience member, it's a different type of enjoyment too, because you're sitting there like, how is this possible? It looks amazing. I've been thinking a lot. For some reason, my brain, I mean, I love Jurassic Park. It's always just a huge part of my my life and my childhood. It just affected me so much when I was younger because I was a dinosaur nut to begin with. But I've been finding myself just last couple of days really thinking back in detail about certain things. And I'm working on a Raptor for my first NFT. It's going to be a 3D print and an image that someone can buy. So that'll be coming soon. I'm probably going to work on that after this, actually, once I get off stream. But I've just been remembering a lot of those months during the summer of '93. I was about 10. So I was pretty young, pretty impressionable, of course. And I had I had exposure to so many films that I probably was too young to see. But my dad wasn't ever pushing anything on us, but we wanted to watch it. And he was like, all right, but if you're scared, go to your room or cover your face with a pillow or whatever. But I remember watching Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade and that death scene, for the main villain. that was a big deal. And I was always like, my sister and I would love that movie, and yet we're always just like, like, can't watch, but we want to. Like, this is amazing. Um, and I just remember being exposed to so many films that were only like on VHS because I was either too young, they didn't take me to theaters, or they just didn't go to the theaters as much, but they would rent movies, like the next year whenever they came out on VHS. So we would always, or library, hit up the library and get videos there too. That's how I saw a lot of things that I became enamored with when it came to like, things about dinosaurs. Phil Tippett's work on that show with Christopher Reeve, which is like a CBS special just called Dinosaur. And it was Christopher Reeve, our late Superman, hosting it. And there was some stop animation or go motion, stop animation, go motion, stop motion, stop animation, stop motion / go motion was Phil Tippett's rebranding of the blur and the in between motion, taking the frame when it's slightly moving to get a blur. Anyway, there was that special that I just watched that video on repeat as a kid, as a small child, and it was like pretty realistic. I mean, the stop motion dinosaurs, the sculpture work he did looked incredibly real, and then the lighting and everything. And he did so much of it in his garage with his wife, which is crazy. Like the backstory that he told me about how that was all put together. But I would watch that video on repeat, and I swear I probably almost destroyed that tape from the library. But then I think I don't remember if it was there or it was like Blockbuster or some other like local mom and pop shop for VHSs. But anyway, I remember just watching so many other films when I was a kid. Probably far too young, whether it was on VHS or on TV. I remember Aliens was the first film that ever made me a little nauseous when I was a kid. I've never gotten that sick from any film. I mean, in general, I don't at all. But that was the first and only time I ever felt nauseous from viewing anything, when it was when Bishop gets railed by the Queen near the end. But anyway, all that kind of primed me for the actual in theater experience, which I know I saw. Like my parents took me to see Gremlins when I was way too young, and it terrified me. Yet I still love Gizmo. But Gremlins gave me nightmares for a few years, probably, because I was really young when they took me. I think I was probably like 2 or 3. And they just saw Gizmo on the trailer, and I think they didn't really pay attention to the Gremlins or thought it wasn't that scary, and so they took me, and then it was like a love-hate relationship with Gremlins. But Jurassic Park was the first film that I knew. My mind was just, it was that moment. It was like a seminal moment. It was like a religious experience. It was incredibly fun for me, and I was just thinking back to I don't know, lately I've just been trying to remember more vividly certain moments during both that theater experience and more so afterwards, and just loving the toys even as a kid, because they were so well sculpted. Like a lot of them were very well done. The T-Rex in particular, I still have one on my shelf from years ago, and it's just good artwork. Like it's truly good sculpture work. Like I would be proud if I said I sculpted this and this is the toy that's out there now. It's like it's more of a work of art than it is like a toy, because a lot of toys overall, if you look at dinosaur toys, a lot of them are not that good. But they've gotten a lot better over the years for sure. And I think I even have some others right around here that are pretty well done. Like they're very well done now. But I just remember as a kid, I was a nut for, my parents, my mom, but it was, I think it was like after like certain musical recitals that we would have, because I did a lot of violin and piano as a kid. And so as a prize, as a reward for enduring it wasn't even, it wasn't intended to be humiliating, but it was always like, you're so nervous, like as a child, practicing certain pieces, and then we'd all the kids who were the students of these different, music professors, teachers, we'd all come together and have a recital. So we'd all perform in front of everybody's parents and family, friends, or whatever, and teachers. And so it's always like, it's like public speaking kind of, but you have to perform a song in front of all these people, or multiple songs, musical pieces. And I think that puts some hair on you, man. Like as a little kid, as a young boy, I was single digit age, through just barely entering into double digits for, I took musical lessons for over a decade. So it really kind of gives you a thicker skin in some ways, and also kind of makes you a little bit more, I guess, kind of forces you to get out there. Your mom's kind of pushing you out in front of the, not literally, but you know what I mean? Like metaphorically, you're getting pushed out in front of the crowd, and you got to deliver. You can't be like, ah, like frozen and just walk away. Some kids buckled under the pressure, but I didn't. You know? So you show up there, and if you make a mistake, you just keep going, and sometimes people wouldn't even notice, so they'll teach you. um but anyway, as a prize for all that hardship and that trauma, as a reward for doing well, often my mom would, of course, just let me go buy a toy. They buy a toy for me as a little kid. And of course, I would always choose some plastic dinosaur, some thick, solid chunk of plastic that was, cast out of a mold that was sculpted by somebody. And anyway, so just personal memories of my obsession with dinosaurs. And so Jurassic Park was just that thing that spoke to me so much as a child. But it was so, I still love it today, and so many other people do too. So it's hard to really ever let it go, just because it's had such a positive, fun effect on my life. And I remember those years, that summer in particular of '93. My family and I were moving into a new house, and so there was that excitement of a new place. It was bigger, it was nicer, new neighbors, new friends. You know, Jurassic Park was everywhere. I mean, the film, the video game on my what was it, Sega Genesis. I don't know. It was just, there was the '90s that summer. Those summers in the '90s were just great too. I mean, there's so many fun products that we enjoyed as kids. It sounds so materialistic, I know. But I remember, man, Streets of Rage 2. I remember playing that so much with friends. Sonic 2, and then eventually Sonic 3 came out like the next year. I don't know. There's just a lot of great creative entertainment that was well done for that time period. And I mean, there's been a lot of stuff after that too, of course. But that was my childhood, right? That was some of my fondest memories as a kid. And when it comes to entertainment, and despite other traumas that we've had. I mean, my family was in a huge car accident before I even turned 6. So there was a lot of other hardships that we went through. Of course, there was different challenges, like any family has, or anyone goes through. But still, I remember thinking back through those experiences. Or I'm remembering those experiences in those summers, and it's just yeah, I don't know, just a lot of good memories, a lot of good times as a kid. Um, with distraction of art and entertainment. But that's the thing. I think my parents really curated a lot of great work for us to enjoy, my sister and I, and you know, gave us a lot to chew on and enjoy with soundtracks as well from films. And they really wanted us to be versed in classical music a lot, so they restricted whenever we were younger, like how much rock we could listen to. And I was always the one trying to rebel and listen to more, and just enjoying what was on the radio. But I still thank them for keeping a pretty strict ruling on what we enjoyed, especially what I was able to access or enjoy initially, just because it turned me, because they wanted me to be more involved with orchestral music and symphonic, work. So I wound up really enjoying soundtracks tremendously, and that would be my kind of like the crack in the armor, you know what I mean, like the in between the lines kind of thing, where they're like, we want you listening mostly to orchestral music, or things that are more classically oriented, like 20th century classical or traditional. And so I was like, are soundtracks cool? They're like, it's all orchestra, no lyrics. Sure. So I became obsessed with John Williams, and love Jerry Goldsmith and James Newton Howard, and just all those great composers that worked in film. So my life inadvertently was just being guided and directed into a love for all the elements that make cinema and storytelling and creative storytelling, visual storytelling, great. What makes it wonderful and endearing. It's all those combined elements that make us really bind to something, right? Like really adhere to something that we love. And I feel like those are great staples of great art and great storytelling, great cinematic storytelling, is when they have incredible. Oh man, I hate this when it does that. When they have sorry, again, dialogue and music. I mean, DJ talking. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you have the arts given to you, or curated for you at a young age, and it's always like the best of the best, that kind of turns you into like a freak of nature, maybe like a snob. I don't know what to be a snob, but it's like it made me more aware and maybe critical of good versus bad filmmaking, good versus mediocre music, And so I don't know, but I never was like, I don't want to be antagonistic toward the other stuff, even though I can sound negative about it at times. But I mean, to a degree, I think anyone has to be, like I said before, you have to be a little critical of arts. If you want to be a good artist, right? Just like a sculptor or a painter, you've got to know what's good and bad about your work. And then inadvertently that transfers to your knowledge and perception of others' work. So that's where it comes down. But that's a sad thing, or the interesting thing is that when it's one person's piece of work in art, if it's not being art directed by anyone else, it's all on them. Filmmaking, there's just so many other people behind the scenes, and usually many executives and many other people who aren't great creatives pushing and nudging things in certain directions, and or relinquishing, certain powers or creative choices, and just not allowing a creative to have one vision a lot of times. And so it's designed by committee. It's multiple hands muddying things that often ruins great films, and that's what's just frustrating. And so you don't get to be an auteur a lot of times of your film, when in fact maybe I think more often than not directors, writers. That's the thing. I'm also like certain directors can be just great directors, but I'm more impressed and even more respectful toward people who are writer directors, people who really have a vision and they can guide what they've created, not just take someone else's creation and glorify it, which just can be really fun because I would love to do that too. But I definitely have personal things like films and stories that I know would, I think, sell incredibly well and really are different than what anyone's done before. Similar genres, thrillers, supernatural thrillers, science fiction, but intelligently done and in ways that will engage people emotionally. So, again, having a unique voice and having something that you think people can really enjoy, I think that says something, and I feel like we need more of that in this world because so much is just derivative now. So much is, you know, an adaptation, a remake, a sequel. And if they're well done, hey, it's fine. Because if they're brands that people love and they sell, like, why not? But I just would love to see more original stuff. And so it's like that phrase goes, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So it's what I'm working toward. It's why I was brought out here. That's why I moved out here. And now it's like, I don't know. I haven't thought more ever than lately about what would it be like to move out of California, just because it could be other states seem to be doing so much better. I'm like, Texas is looking tempting, but it's so hard to leave living near the ocean. I was just out there yesterday with a friend, and it's hard. It's really hard to 'cause I love the weather here and I love living near the ocean. It's just great. Um, so it's a challenge, And my friend who just moved, he actually lived in this apartment with me. Solomon Blair. He used to work for Pixologic. He's moved on both career wise and physically. He lives in Texas now, and we were just chatting about what it's like over there, and he just has so many positive things to say. And it's like, man, I'm definitely gonna go out and visit him at some point. But it's like I would love to see California become a little bit more like Texas, personally. I don't know. I just want more freedoms and a little bit more just better tax rates. A lot of things could be better. Um, but no state's perfect, of course, and no group is perfect. I know that. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Who knows if I migrate? Because just for and it feels like, yeah, we're coming out of this, and like we're gonna have more flexibility again and a little bit more normality. And Hollywood is still here for better or for worse. And that's a large part of why I'm here, is because the connections are here, the work is here, and it's even just being in the same time zone helps a lot, with this industry. But there's still something to be said, especially in the past, with just even if you're working from home, to be able to meet up with somebody, shake their hand, look them in the eye, talk, have normal human relations. Um, can't do that if you're living out of state. If you're living even just out of town, really too far out of town, it's like, well, if it's a 2 hour drive, eh, you know. I mean, it's fine if you're the employee; they don't care as long as you're on time. But if you're like trying to negotiate with somebody or like make some deals, and you've got to travel so far, and then traffic can like slow you down, or it's like you got to meet consistently, and like traffic can make you late. So to be more central and to be here is still, it still seems like it makes sense. But of course, Zooms are options. But it's like nothing can really replace meeting someone face to face and interacting with them that way. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just blabbering, but I mean, I'm holding some good numbers here, so apparently people are enjoying or at least tolerating everything I'm saying. Sorry, I haven't looked at chat in a minute. But hair's coming together here. I'm gonna have to fix this little area here a bit, but it's coming together. It's amazing. Again, just talking all this time, but it's just going away and sculpting. You can see the result is it speaks for itself. Just that detail in the hair and all those different natural strands kind of going in slightly different directions. It really works. I think I want to add some more variation still in some bigger chunks, as you can see in the photo. But the base now is established pretty well for his whole right side, middle, and I gotta finish the other side here, but it's coming together. Let me just go over chat quick. Back up a little bit. Hello from Mexico. Hola. Everyone's green. Men in Black Forward is garbage. That's sad. Santa's Workshop. Hey, love your stream. It's nice to listen to someone smart. Thanks, man. Thank you. I remember Santa Workshop. Thank you. Yes, I'm using a graphics tablet. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq. Actually, I'm using their Mobile Studio Pro as my Cintiq right now, as I loaned my other older Mobile Studio Pro to a buddy of mine who needed it for a while. Sorry, just checking my check with my phone quick. I'm saying if you could sculpt with Neuralink, then what would separate artists from the crowd, do you think? Would it rely, more on their style and concepts? John, yes, exactly. That's exactly my point. And it's both scary and awesome. That's such a, I want to talk on that for just a second. It's both that. It's extremely scary and extremely exciting. If we can all, those of us who want to, I feel like that leap may be, that's the thing. It's like I say I don't want it, and yet a part of me loves the idea so much. It's a really hard. If I started working for Neuralink or did some work for them, and they offered me a free Neuralink, right? That's such a huge. It's like such a huge gamble, risk versus reward, and I'm definitely a risk taker. I'm a gambler, but always calculated risks. I always weigh the risks versus risk versus benefit. How do they outweigh each other? That's such a it's going into your brain. That's the thing. Of course too, it's not like it's going into some super critical area, but I feel like anything in the brain is critical. You're messing with your gray matter. Yeah, it's pretty heavy duty. That's pretty serious. And it doesn't get much more serious than that. It's like a surgically implanted bullet, basically. It's like, it's surgically implanted computer. But it's like, again, the benefits are like creation at the speed of thought. So yes, I think it would be all about let's say you had 20 artists who are all Neuralinked, right? And they are working on their own piece. Each one would come up with their own unique style. Even if you gave them parameters, like everyone create Neo, right? Just Neo. He can be in any scenario, but just Neo for the Matrix. Everyone would create a different looking Neo. They probably might get the look exactly like his face, right? They might get it. They just look at a photo and maybe they could actually transfer what they're looking at mentally to be reproduced sculpturally. But then pose would be different. Yeah, if you want to stylize it, that'll be unique. I think, it would ultimately come down to concept. It's whose idea is the best. And that's what Steve Jobs was known for saying a lot. The best idea in the room has to win. If you're not going with the best idea, you're losing, right? So even if it's not coming from you, if you let go of your ego and say, well, I own the company, I hired all of you, just give me your best ideas. That's how you're going to win. It's like the smartest leaders are the ones who, defer, they delegate to the right people and let the experts in different areas guide those areas that they're experts in. Because everyone can't be, a master of all. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. There's something to be said for that. Unless you're some sort of amazing prodigy, there's going to be a lot of areas and pitfalls and holes in something you won't see coming that other people who are experts in will, but they may not have their grand vision, right? They don't have the whole picture in their head. And so when it comes to designing with something like Neuralink, I think it would all become, if like yet everyone had a Neuralink, yeah, it just comes down to who has the best idea, right? And that just creates a whole host of new challenges. But it's like, what is that going to look like? What kind of world will we be living in where a large percentage of people will have Neuralink, or a small percentage, I would say, because even if you can't afford it, even if you can't afford it, you probably wouldn't want it just because it's going in your brain. But I think I'm afraid that the other scary part of it is that it's going to create such a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots, right? People who can sell and trade stock at the speed of thought. People who will get alerts about their, shifts in a trend of a stock will have, faster trading ability perhaps than people who aren't Neuralinked. So there's going to be this disparaging gap between people who are Neuralinked and people who aren't. And so that's going to be something that I think will be pretty scary and pretty exciting at the same time. So I don't know. I just think it's like any development in technology, though, right? Like people railed against the printing press for a long time. People didn't like the idea of books, and now we have the automation taking jobs, right? Factory jobs. Well, people aren't going to like it, but I mean, the people who own the companies who are billionaires or trillionaires, they don't care what your opinion is or that the little guys are being put out of work. They're just going to do what they want to do because they're going to make money. And they don't need to be compassionate, and that's where I think greed is bad. I mean, greed is bad always, but that's where greed can be corruptive of capitalism. I don't think the system of capitalism is wrong at all. Anyone who doesn't like that then probably shouldn't be watching the stream or using a computer, because they're all products of capitalism. Like everything we're wearing is a product of capitalism, right? Leisure, entertainment's a product of capitalism. It only can take place when capitalism is functioning. Leisurely activities, right? Because the collective, the opposite is, communism. It's like the collective. Everyone has to serve the people, that kind of BS. Like all the time. Is it serving the people? That whole thing. It's like old adages of communism. So, I mean, so it's like there's a fear of that, though, of like automation taking over. And so it's almost like, well, we all have to move forward. I think we're all going to have to move along, just like education. If you don't learn how to add, subtract, and multiply, you're not going to be able to function in society in certain ways how other people can. Granted, getting a medical procedure to get something stuck in your head is a much bigger leap than just learning something, right? But I really wonder if Neuralink's going to become like the iPhone or like a smartphone. Like, there are definitely people who can function without it, and they can make a lot of money and still be fine. But most people will have a smartphone at this point and be able to do a lot more immediately or faster than people who don't know how to use a smartphone. And then out of those, you have different tiers that start becoming kind of like a pyramid. You're gonna have people on the higher end that are like, okay, they're using their smartphone, but they've hacked it in a way that can do certain things other smartphones can't, right? They've unlocked it, or they've accessed parts of it that you normally wouldn't know how to unless you did your homework and really researched. Beyond that, like, you have a smartphone, that's great. You have the ability now, but what are you going to do with it, right? Like, are you going to trade stocks on it? You have the money, but do you have the knowledge, the interest, right? So again, two people can have the same exact playing field, but one's going to have different results, right? You're not going to have equity of outcome. You can have equity of opportunity, equality in that area, but the freedom that human beings have is what's always going to differentiate people from achieving the same things or not, or having the same things or not. So even if two people have the Neuralink, and they're both designing something, you're still going to get different outcomes, different results, always, because that's just reality. That's life. It's unfair in that sense. But the unfairness it's probably a misnomer, because it's not that it's unfair. It's just not equal, right? It's not. You're never going to be exactly equal to someone else. Like, someone's always going to be better. That's that phrase. There's always someone better, right? So you're always going to have that difference of outcome. So anyway, I don't know. So it starts mental vomit here, just spitballing concepts about Neuralink, but it's I don't know, man. It's a whole brave new world, right? It's like, it's pretty freaking incredible, like what will be coming. So if you guys haven't seen it, look up go to find Neuralink's YouTube, and they have a video of a monkey that they've implanted 2 Neuralinks into its brain, and you can still kind of see the disrupted hair as it's still healing, growing over. For those who don't know what Neuralink is, by the way, it's like a nickel or dime, a little bit between those, shaped like the coin disc that has little tendrils, right, electrodes that descend from it. It's implanted robotically with extreme precision, And what they do is they cut a small half moon shape in your scalp, peel it back. Think Terminator, if you've seen that clip from the extended version of Terminator 2. They peel it back, and then they will cut a perfectly sized, appropriately sized disc shape in your skull, your bone, pull that out, implant electrodes first into your brain, in specific area, motor cortex, into your brain, this small little device, this little sort of computer, basically. Lets you wirelessly communicate like a Bluetooth communication with devices that will receive that frequency or set of frequencies. And then they, it's all sterilized, of course. It's all sterile, of course, duh. And then they affix it. I don't know if they actually affix it with any kind of notches or glue at all. I think maybe, but anyway, it's there. And then they secure your, they bring your flap back over it, your skin, stitch you up, and you're good to go. It's an outpatient procedure, so you can have it done, go in the office, have it done, walk out the same day, and you're good to go. So it sounds pretty straightforward, and the animal testing they're doing right now is showing it to be functional. So this monkey is playing Pong, mind Pong, with its brain. It's just thinking. So what they show you first is they ramp you up with how they train the monkey to do this, and also how their computer is being trained to how to read the brain. So they have this monkey with a joystick here that's sticking out of like a little device, like on a pole with a screen, like an iPad or something. And the monkey's holding on to this joystick, and it understands, and it has a little a metal tube that delivers a banana smoothie to the monkey. So whenever he gets this ball to go into an orange square, so he has a grid in front of him, and there's all these squares. They're all black or grayed out, and then this orange one is the one that he has to guide the ball to. So he has this little like white Pong-like ball. It's just a collection of pixels that form a circle, small little circle. The orange square will illuminate randomly different locations on the screen, and he has to guide the ball into each orange square. And once it enters the square, he's rewarded with a shot of banana smoothie. So he's holding on to this, he's holding on to this straw. He's just loving it. He's loving life as he's playing the game and getting rewarded for putting the ball in the orange box. And while they're doing that, they're recording via the Neuralinks his neural activity. So basically, it's machine learning. The computer is learning what signals correlate to what hand movements and optical input, right? All that's correlated and then digested by an algorithm or multiple algorithms. So the computer understands, oh, this is the pattern, the signal pattern from the brain that says to move what he's looking at in this direction. So then what they did is they unplug the remote control, so he's not actually controlling anything anymore. The USB sticks or the USB cables disconnected, and he's doing it all through his mind. But he's still moving the joystick out of habit. Then they remove the joystick altogether, and then he's just hanging on to the straw, just like, again, loving life as he's getting his banana smoothie every time. He's getting a hit every time, he's achieving marksmanship with the location of the placement of the ball. And then eventually they graduate from him moving a box or moving the ball into the box to actual Pong, the original game from back in the 60s or 70s. And so you have this ball, bloop, bloop, the computer is moving one bar while he is mentally moving the other one. And every time, he bounces the ball, he gets a shot of banana smoothie. And it's just amazing. That's just the baseline, right? That's just showing us what the basics are. So the next step would be, of course, software interaction with more advanced software. But it's the same concept. And to me, that is just incredible. That's mind-blowing. No pun intended. So, excuse me. So we'll see where that goes from here. It's pretty insane. And for anyone just joining me, we're talking about Neuralink because the Matrix kind of led us there, I guess, what I'm working on. I'm doing the hair of Mr. Reeves from this scene in the Matrix. But yeah, it just feels like we are going to be living in something like that within our lifetimes. If you're under the age of like 80, I think you're going to live to see or 65. You're going to see the Matrix-esque reality happen in the sense of jacking into computer systems and being able to interact with them through your mind. And then the other questions, of course, are like read and write. Then, so we're only writing to, right? Or I should say, we're reading. It's reading us, right? It's not writing to our brain. It's just reading our brain. So what about writing to the brain? That's That's another that's a more scary idea, right? Because then that means like, what about a computer virus infecting the device in your brain? What would that look like? Who could write them, and how would they affect you? And what would be the result? Are we gonna will there ever be that scenario of like what we've seen with cockroaches, where you can put sensors, electrodes on a cockroach, and stimulating one side makes it go one way and stimulating the other? Like, could we ever get there? I feel like you'd have. I've heard them talk a little bit about this. I think you'd have to have electrodes throughout the whole brain in a much more detailed way to be able to control anybody, to possess anybody that way. But that's scary. That's really scary, because then it would be like, I mean, kind of like what they showed. I guess they have it in Cyberpunk. I haven't really played through much of it yet. I've only gone a quarter of the way through and kind of stopped. But I guess that's in Cyberpunk, right? Where people get controlled wirelessly by someone else. They showed it in Deus Ex, either Human Revolution or Mankind Divided, one of the two Deus Ex games. And it was that people were being controlled by someone else to commit a crime, and then they shot themselves to, end it. Crazy, horrible. And that's scary to think about. Like, if anything like that could happen, and again, it feels like science fiction, but the way we're going now, it's like, it could be science reality sooner than later. And they've also said that, speaking of all this in Jurassic Park earlier, the co-founder of Neuralink was saying that he believes they have the technology now to actually make a real-world Jurassic Park. And I've been saying this for a while. I've been talking about this with friends for a bit. I was theorizing, understanding CRISPR, basics of CRISPR, which allows you to edit genetics basically and write and real time edit genetic code. I theorize that we will more than likely see in our lifetime the creation of, not Jurassic Park literally, that'd be awesome, I think, but more so, meaning that we're not going to clone dinosaurs from DNA. We're just going to write the DNA. We're just going to create the animal, the creature, using some baseline DNA, sure, from maybe birds, and or combining them with reptiles, and then just make basically kind of like what Jurassic Park did, but without the whole using blood from anything extinct or from marrow or anything, because the DNA seems to be useless by now. But we're just be able to create the code from almost scratch, I'm guessing. So we'll be able to create creatures that never existed, period. So we're not bringing back extinct animals. We're just making new creatures that function the way we want them to, which is really creepy, and it makes me really sad and scared for all the accidents that will happen along that path of like creating animals that, like in The Fly, if you've ever seen The Fly 2, or in The Fly, where it's like, I'm so sad to think about, like, all these animals that will be created from embryonic stage to maybe a semi-living state of maturity, and then something's not functioning right, organs aren't in the right place or whatever, and they'll suffer and then die. Like, that's so sad. That's depressing to me. Which of course they won't show that to the public for the most part, unless someone does an undercover video or something. But because I'm pretty sure that's already happened with like Jack Horner, famous paleontologist. He has been working with other people, and they've been working on trying to create a chickenosaurus. So they've been working on trying to create a dinosaur out of a chicken by using chicken embryos and editing their genes. And even that, I'm like, dude, I'm sure I feel like they've mentioned it too, where they've created embryos and they had to abort them because they wouldn't function or wouldn't survive outside of the egg. And that's just sad. I'm like, creating life just for it to suffer and then die. I'm like, I hate that. I really don't like that at all. So yeah, I don't know. So it's the whole debate, and this is where then Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character, his questions and points are very valid. Like, aren't we messing with nature in a way that God never intended, that we should never, nature never intended, that we shouldn't mess with? Are we just dabbling in something that's bound to bite us in the ass later? Creating life form that's never really ever existed before, like a dinosaur-like creature or something. What if it, I don't know, can somehow develop, or mutate a bacteria into something that we can't cure, right? A virus that is novel, a truly novel bacteria or new virus that would make COVID-19 look like a total joke, What if it's like an airborne version of Ebola or something, like, and highly contagious, like COVID-19 or like the flu, the common cold? Like, that would be a nightmare. That would be like That would be like the movie Outbreak. Yikes. Just watched that the other day again too. It's a pretty good movie for its time. I mean, it's still a fun watch, I guess. I don't know. It's really a horror movie, I guess is really what it is, right? Like what else would you consider Outbreak? A drama horror, medical drama. Um Anyway, sorry, just went off on a long tangent there. Pablo, hey, you're new here. Hello, hello. Um, Sorry, I'm going back to the chat. There's so much going on here. Sorry. uh, so yeah, the Neuralink question led to all that. Mr. Emerson, my computer lagged with Photoshop. Does that mean I will definitely lag with ZBrush? I only have 8 gigs RAM. Oof, yeah, dude. Well, it may not lag with ZBrush if you just open ZBrush alone, like don't open anything else with it, because I was working with a machine years ago. When I first moved to LA, I was still surviving with an old MacBook Pro, which I have still underneath my desk here, just because it has some files that I haven't transferred over, and it's sort of like a memento to remind myself, too, of where I came from to where I'm at, and that you might be working with something that's underpowered now, but as long as you keep working hard and you maximize whatever you're working with, you can get beyond that. So, stay positive for sure. But I know what it feels like to work with something really underpowered, to be really frustrated with it, and to be able to work so much faster than what your machine is letting you do. So you can think and operate a lot faster, but you're being restricted by with what you're working with. I know that feeling totally. So hang in there. Just keep working hard, make some work that, will help you get more work. And then, just build upon that. But yeah, if you can get anything more than 8, I mean, if you can get at least like 32 gigs, that would really help for sure. That'll be much, much better. My best friend and I met the great Ray Harryhausen. Wow, many, many years ago, out on the floor of the dealer's room at San Diego Comic-Con. Wow. My friend gave him a stop motion armature that he had made. That's awesome. Wow. I mean, yeah, Ray Harryhausen's sort of like the granddaddy of all of this, right? I mean, of so much creature stuff that we all enjoy and love. Um, that's huge. That's epic. So for those who don't know, Ray Harryhausen is like I said, the granddad of like stop animation. Just look up his name. You'll see all his work. I mean, he's done stuff that was really revolutionary for its time and really beloved and really iconic. And he kind of reached almost the pinnacle. I feel like Phil Tippett kind of picked up where he left off and created the probably the penultimate, the final, the best you could possibly do for stop motion, or go motion as Phil called it for a while. I think that they are the two guys who probably pushed it to the max. There's a lot of other artists who did good work too in that area, but I feel like they're the ones who really achieved the penultimate. I think the only thing that's maybe kind of eclipsed them, sort of, or at least it's a variation on it, is doing an animation in a computer and then 3D printing every single frame of those motions of a character. So which is what they've done for like Paranorman, and you can find a lot of shorts people have done like that, where they have like a bear walking up steps, just as an example. They have the bear walking up steps, all 3D animated, and then they take every single frame of that, like frame here, export that out, 3D print that, file 1, and then the next frame, and then so on and so forth until you have like, I don't know, hundreds of frames, and then you have a walk cycle, and then it just loops, and they just put every 3D print in front of the camera, photograph it, remove it, put the next one, photograph it, remove it, put the next one. And you have that whole animation that you did in 3D in your computer physically stop motion now. So I think that's the only kind of marginal sort of improvement, sort of, you could say. But that's really tedious, and it's different than having an armature where you'd have something that you'd hand move, photograph, and then move again, photograph, and just so on. That's the other traditional method. So maybe kind of apples and oranges there, but anyway, Ray Harryhausen's like, a historical figure, really. Out of curiosity, have you seen Warhammer 40K animated short series? I think so. Yeah, that one. Set in the same universe. It's really worth a watch. Yep. Both one guy did the work. Yeah. I've seen. I know what you're talking about. I remember. I understand the concepts of why people love it so much too, because they said every single move that he did or whatever is like a move in the game. And so for those who don't know, Warhammer 40K is like a tabletop game, sort of like sorry, I'm blasting this thing. It's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a Dungeons and Dragons, right? Kind of like a role-playing game. sort of, right? I've never really got into that stuff, so I can't really speak from experience, but from what I understand from people explaining it to me, that's what it is. And so that people really are impressed with the animation because all the way that the guys move with the guns, it's like every action they're doing is like an animated version of moves that you can do in the board game, I guess. So when you roll dice, you get a certain set of moves, you can do one thing, and then so they strung it all together. So I guess it has a lot more impact for people who know the game and know the plays or the moves, and then seeing them all run in a fluid, like naturalistic, realistic, semi-realistic animation. So yeah, I've heard about it, saw it. I can't say I was as impressed. I mean, visually it looks great. But I can't say I was impressed or impacted as somebody who maybe knows the really intricate sort of level of design behind everything. But I can respect it. I mean, yeah, and it does impress me, and it doesn't impress me as far as it being one guy. Because now, especially with all the tools available and understanding them more and more, if you can learn those other disciplines like modeling, I've got down. If I can learn rigging and animation, which I know I could, it's just a lot of time. Then rendering is not a big issue. Lighting, it's not. It doesn't feel as hard. It's complicated too, but not as hard as animation and rigging. Um, yeah, then you have the whole package. Then you just have to have the time to put something together. Having a motion capture suit can help a lot if it's a humanoid figure, and having a really strong PC really helps a lot. So I'm excited for what I can do, but I still am looking also to collaborate with people who are animators and riggers so that I can get my vision out there faster rather than trying to learn everything on my own. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome what one person can do now, and it's just getting better and better. Like there's really very if you have the computing power and the knowledge in general, there's little excuse to not be able to create your own thing, your own short, your own story of some type if you want to. I mean, it's so easy to do. Comics legend, I miss Solomon. I do too, because we still live down the road from me. Like we still hang out now and then and get drinks and hang out. So we've stayed friends for the whole time I've been here, and I owe him a lot. I'm really grateful to Saul. Um, I have a voice for radio. Thank you. I should do some voice acting. I keep being told that actually, and I can do all kinds of ridiculous voices that aren't just my normal speaking voice. Thank you. I appreciate it. My dad did radio and TV in Central America before I was born, so I get some of that from him, I guess, as far as speech quality. He has a very deep masculine voice, but he's a really nice guy. Quick question about I guess decimation. Yeah. Okay. Fair arts. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. um, yeah. Must has blown up 3 starships. I think I'll wait on the Neuralink. Yeah, I hear you. Question about Decimation Master. Please fire away. Pablo, hello. You new here? Talking about Neuralink. I read a book called Insignia, Futuristic World in which people have neural implants in their brains. Really interesting. I recommend if you've never read it. Yeah, I'll check it out. It's called Insignia. All right, Insignia. Hope you're able to do with Neuralink is speak every language without a problem. So communication will be a lot easier. See, that would be awesome. They have devices where you can. You can translate in real time, but I don't know how well they really work. Um, yeah, I think that would be very cool to be able to just be able to speak with everyone. Uh, but that's a challenge too because there's so many esoteric, idiosyncratic things to every language and culture. That's that'll be such a hard challenge. Like even if you can think of what you want to say to somebody and it can translate it to their language, there's all these nuances and different inflections and inferences. And, there's a lot of things that will be still barriers to someone else not misunderstanding you or hopefully not taking any offense to what you're saying. Of course, I'm sure that you guys will be able to let each other know you don't speak fluently, or what would you call that? Telepathically fluently speak to each other. I don't know. That would be amazing though, to be able to talk to other people in different languages across the world. That'd be incredible. What else? There will inevitably be hackers and viruses in the future, work just like Cyberpunk. Yeah, for sure. Just think about sculpting with your mind in ZBrush. Exactly, that's what we were talking about earlier. Or that's what I'm really, really like curious and tempted to experience with something like Neuralink. We're at 4 o'clock, by the way, so I'll probably go about till like 4:20 because I was late starting, and then that'll be that. So hair, at least we'll get hair done today. All I'm saying is if we can shoot it, we will be good. If we can shoot it, we'll be good. Exodus. I guess Exodus, I guess I'm missing what you're referring to earlier. If we can shoot it, we'll be good. Comics Legend, King Kong, Clash of the Titans, and more Ray Harryhausen. Yeah. Yep. He did Jason the Argonauts, right? Yo, greetings from Poland. Hello from Poland. That's awesome. Hello from LA, I should say. It's cool. We have some international folks. Yeah, guys, give me a shout out if you're not from the States, if you're not from the US. Let me know where you're from. Give me a little type in the chat here what country you're from. I'm curious. It's always fun to hear where people are from, and always appreciate an international audience, and especially if you're staying up late for this or getting up early, or maybe you're at work and watching this as you work or on the sly if they don't let you. I don't think making a real life Jurassic Park will be a nice idea. There are literally 4 movies talking about it. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the other thing, though. If we make creatures that are representations of dinosaurs, because I don't think they would be authentic, of course, much like Jurassic Park. Yeah, I really wonder if there would be much potential for any of the. I mean, because it would basically be like any other zoo in a lot of ways, which is both cool and sad. Pardon me. Because I think animals ideally should be free and just roaming around doing their thing, right? Just living life in peace, in violent peace as they eat each other. But I feel so bad for dolphins and cetaceans that are in captivity. I think that's really messed up, and they don't need to be. They shouldn't be, because they're so intelligent and they need so much space. I mean, the ocean, as the very respectable dolphin foundation, the Rico Berry Dolphin Project, they always say, like, no tank, excuse me, can replicate the vastness of the ocean, and that's what those animals need, is that freedom, that space. So yeah, I mean, if we were to make a real-ish Jurassic Park, it would be sad because we'd be creating animals. I mean, if they were to do a T-Rex or something like a T-Rex or something like an Edmontosaurus or an Allosaurus even, you need a lot of space for those animals to roam around in. Like, a lot. And if you did something like a sauropod, I don't know how you could keep the thing fed. I mean, that would be my concern. It would be like, I don't think we could grow enough trees that could be harvested to feed them in time. You'd almost have to create artificial feed or food or something as well to keep them satiated and alive, right? I mean, I guess the carnivores you could feed a lot of livestock to, like they were the raptors in the beginning of Jurassic Park, right? You could just get a bunch of cows and dump them to their horrible fate, which would be horrible. I just was listening to the sound effects they use for that. Man, it sounds so horrible for those poor cows. The bull getting ripped apart by the raptors. Jeez, violent. I would almost feel like euthanize a cow first. You just give it a nice bolt to the head or something, at least, so it's just dead and out, and then give it to the animals. Don't like let it be ripped alive. That feels like it's a bit more humane. But I mean, that's not nature, I guess, right? But it just feels like if you're gonna put the animal to its death with an animal, like, no escape, it just feels more fair to like euthanize the animal and then give it to them than I was just watching another video the other day of like a lion ripping apart a giraffe, and then it was a pregnant giraffe. Then it takes the baby out of the mother's womb and runs away with it for like a snack. I'm like, damn, that's savage. That's sad and rough. That's nature. But I mean, at least it feels like in nature, the animals, they have a fighting chance. They have the ability to go anywhere, right? Hopefully, not like, caged in or boxed into an area where they can't escape a predator. Um, but like when you're just descending an animal into a living animal into another animal's pen, like the way people feed snakes a lot. I guess a lot of times they give them dead baby mice, but sometimes they give them live rats or live mice, and it's like that feels kind of cruel, sad for the animal because it can't escape, so it just has to be terrorized before it dies. But I'm an animal lover, and I mean, but yeah, I know that's nature too. It's like we can't stop death no matter what. It's always going to be a part of life. So, whoa, belly button. Uh, rotated a little too much. So we're getting there. I'm probably still going to add more detail to the hair after this, but at least we'll have a good foundation base here finally. So this is often how I'll do hair. I mean, sometimes you can, we could do like, let me think here. So I've done this before. I guess you can do this, and then even where is it? Alpha. Then you can modify this and replicate it. Where's repeat horizontal? Tile. There we go. So you tile it, and now if you make this bigger, you're gonna get these. You get multiple strands. And that can work too, but you still get kind of a little bit too more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a little too repetitious. It seems a little too like pattern. You recognize a pattern too easily. So I mean, I'll do that for a fast, quick, and dirty hair. Like I think I did that for Psyche's hair in my Cupid and Psyche piece that I was doing before this. But even then, I'll still go in and retouch it. But for this, I just prefer kind of a more manual, um, hand stroke deal. And I'll still edit this, I'm sure. Because back here, I'm not really happy. This looks way too simplistic. So, like, I like some of these deeper grooves. I'm probably going to try to conform some of the hair and bunch it. But I feel like the front's looking decent. It's not done at all, but, it's got a good flow to it. Anyway. Hello from France. Awesome. Hello. Argentina. Nice. And you're in, was it Cornville? Cornville, Illinois? Exodus? Um, just got a giant link in here. Sorry, can't read that. Probably, it feels like it might be spam. I don't know. Kenya. Wow, dude. Alex is in Kenya. Wow. Hello. I don't know what this says. If anyone can translate that, but I'm probably gonna block this from Facebook because it's just a giant. I don't know. Is it Spanish? I can't even really tell. Portuguese? I don't know. Yeah, it's spam. Okay, so block user in Facebook. Add to block list and restream. There we go. All right. Elon Musk's ominous attitude toward AI is ironic. Most of his companies are run on AI. Well, I mean, it's more like machine learning, right? AI is definitely it's usually an inaccurate term. True AI really barely exists. It's more all like machine learning, advanced machine learning. But it's like, at what point does machine learning cross over into AI? Like truly artificial intelligence. We're not really there yet, but it's like advanced machine learning, I guess, is what experts really want to correct us in saying. Anyway, all right, we're at 4:13 on the West Coast. I think we'll just be getting the hair done here. Okay, let's check it on the pup. I don't really like those lines. I'm gonna smooth those out. Or we could just undo. Maybe I'll just undo those a little bit. Yeah, I think that's good. And 40K is a tabletop game where you move miniatures around, tabletop background, big battles, creatures such as dinos or animals of their time. It would be said that since the world which they lived does not exist anymore, they could not grow, live, and thrive in our modern world as they did back then. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I kind of suspect the same thing, that there'd probably be a lot of things that are different about the way the Earth is now than however it was when they were alive. And it really makes me wonder if animals of that scale and size and how drastically different our world is in a way that we may not, in many ways that we might not even know how different it is from what it was like when they were alive. I really wonder if the world could really sustain them in any real way, in any real substantive manner, where they would actually be able to eat and thrive, like you said. Yeah, it's a really valid question, I think. And if we could, I mean, I guess if people were going to go ahead and do something like that, I guess the only responsible way to really um, handle or manage those animals would be to only create a few of any large ones, and then if any more you're going to make them small, like perpetually, puppy sized, or like tortoise sized, maybe even cow sized. But going elephant and bigger just seems like, the bigger the mass, the bigger the problem of containment and feeding. I mean, not containment, but I mean just the amount of consumption they would need, the amount of food they would need to eat, and yeah, all that. But I mean, I would be first in line if they really made something like that. I mean, yeah, I would definitely be curious. Um, I'd almost be like, just hell, just make the dinosaurs look like the ones in Jurassic Park, just for that, just for the fun of it, just to really see that real thing like alive. Like, just do it. Just make some raptors, and uh, make a T-Rex or two, and Parasaurolophus and Brachiosaur. But these Brachiosaurs are like, they're so massive. Those things. It's almost like a whale walking on land. It's like, how do you feed that thing? How do you keep that thing alive? Because there's so much. You would need so much food. You'd have to chop down trees left and right. Like I said, you'd have to create artificial food or something. I don't know how you'd supply enough food for those animals, and with the reduction in, foliage that we have on the planet now, compared to compared to what's available and how much they would need. I don't know that they would be. I don't know that we'd have enough. I really wonder if we had more than like one of them. I mean, we'd have to plant like a whole forest, like let it mature before you created a sauropod that would eat it all. And even then, how would we know? That's the other thing. We don't know what plants were, all the plants that they would eat necessarily, and what they would be able to have all of them. We'd have to create plants maybe too. We'd have to create artificially created plants maybe that could to be digestible to them. I don't know. Like, that's the other thing. Like, do we really know what their diet was like? I don't think we have enough stomach contents from sauropods, and or like, dead brush from fossilized brush from their time period to really know accurately if they all ate. It's a big question. I also think I probably did his sideburns incorrectly on the other side, so I might have to do some fixes over there. So I'm actually using the inversion here. I'm holding Alt and sculpting um, to raise it up a little bit and then smoothing out. some deep learning applications are more advanced than our human brains. That's what I've heard, yeah. I mean, they can calculate things and process things so much faster than we can. It's crazy. It's scary. Will you be 3D printing your Raptor from 2014? Yeah, I mean, I already do have it 3D printed. I mean, I actually have a small one right here of that same model. I'm actually reworking it right now for a new piece that I'm gonna do. But yeah, it's right here. It's like super screen accurate to the guys you see in Jurassic Park. Probably, honestly, I'd still say it's more accurate than like any other models out there. I'd say the Prime One Raptors are pretty close, but the face isn't right, and some of the proportions are a little off. Um, but this isn't perfect either. There's certain things I'm fixing. I mean, I think it would look flawless to anyone who's not a insane detail nerd like myself. But I mean, I'm proud of it still. But there's little things I want to fix, and so I'm fixing that on this next version that I'm making of it, which will just flow into the ones I sell. So if you guys want to buy one, you can. It's on my website. I just 3D printed two for some folks that ordered them overseas, actually. One in Germany, and I think another one, I forget where else. But yeah, every now and then I get random orders from people from all over the world who are just like, "Oh, you want a Raptor?" So they order one, and I print it and ship it out. Um, Not only so much food, they'll need a lot of space. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, and where can you find a space so big and empty? Exactly. Would pet dinosaurs become a thing like boutique dogs, breeder? Yeah, yeah, that would be weird, right? It'd be awesome and weird at the same time. Like a little boutique dinosaur, a miniature dinosaur. I mean, that'd be awesome, but like, who knows what the risks are and like how long they would live, right? Could they genetically engineer them to live like a bird, like 70 years? You know, like a parrot? That'd be awesome. Live with you your whole life. That'd be both awesome and a curse, maybe, because who knows how they, I don't know. If we were to design them, like, could they engineer them to always be calm, loving animals? Could they engineer that kind of emotion into them? I don't know. That kind of mental lean. I don't know if they could do that. That feels too advanced. I don't know. Seems like that's too advanced. I mean, because we barely understand the human brain. I can't imagine engineering mental proclivities. I don't know how that would work. It's a very interesting question, though. I just want the sideburns to kind of match a little bit better here. Well, we're at 423, and the base for the hair is done. Definitely gonna keep working on it in the near future, but I think I'm gonna jump over to my NFT now and try to get that finished. But we're looking good, getting there. Hair's done at least, so got that. I mean, like baseline done. So yeah. So glasses next time, I guess. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll keep going on this on Twitch sometime this week. I always say that, and I keep threatening to do it. One of these days I will. um, Let me save before I forget. Save it as a subtool and save the project file where it's at. And then it's quick saving. Oh no, I already quick saved. Okay. Yeah, so again, guys, I'm just going to close out by reminding you, for those who would like to schedule a private session, one-on-one, we can do that. I'm going to put my email in the chat, so when you would like to schedule that, just let me know. I mean, we can talk about it today or tomorrow, whenever, and schedule it for whenever you'd like. Pretty flexible right now. I mean, a lot of us are still home a lot. So that's my email, daniel@lion-arts.com. And then Instagram, if you want to send me a DM on there, you can find me at Daniel Lion Arts. And everywhere else you want to find me, Daniel Lion Arts, same handle. YouTube, Twitter. I guess it's like facebook.com/Daniel Lion Arts, my art page. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do. I'm trying to grow that, and I need to get better at posting more. But I mean, at least post like once a week for when I'm streaming. Pardon me, sorry. What else? So yeah, so sessions, mentorship. If you want to do one-on-one classes with me, or a group class, if a mentorship isn't just right for you, if you want to learn with multiple people, we can figure that out. But please email me, send me a direct message, and we can schedule that. I had a great student recently, Tyler. I just posted about him, and we're actually going to be meeting up again this coming week for, or later this week, I should say, for another session. So his improvements were drastic too, which is pretty awesome to see. I taught him a lot of the techniques I'm using here right in front of you, and within 2 hours, he learned what he needed to make a huge leap from what he was doing before to what he's doing now. And you can take a look on my Instagram and see a pretty dramatic difference in the quality of his work. So I'm really proud about that. And it's just cool to actually, to see those results be so tangible so quickly. So if you want to get better at ZBrush in general, if you want to focus on likenesses, you want to work on human anatomy or animal anatomy or comparative anatomy, or just want to learn some techniques that will just expedite your whole process in ZBrush. There's a lot that I do intuitively that I don't even think about, like that other people may not know, because I've just taken the time to find what's useful in the UI and put it around for me. But yeah, apparently there's a lot of stuff here that some students, or just people who are just less experienced in ZBrush don't know or aren't aware of, that are easily located and then placed. Some of them are actually not easily located. We had to hunt around for some of them. We're like, where is this one button? As I found it like years ago, and I just dropped it in my UI and then forgot where it's located, so we had to hunt for that. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit to just doing one-on-one sessions. So yeah, if you guys are interested, ladies or gentlemen, please feel free to email me, and I'll be more than happy to schedule a time with you, and we'll just do a little Google Meetup or Zoom or Skype, whatever you like, and we'll go from there. So let's just wrap up on the chat here. Wow, very cool. Will be different with the new Raptor print. Oh, just improvements, like subtle things in the face and the eyes. And then there's going to be a few new poses, I think, that I'm going to have coming out soon. One in particular will be exclusive only to my NFT, and I think I'll only do a few of those, a limited number, so that they'll only be available through the NFT. So you only will be able to get the 3D print by buying the NFT. And that'll be the only way you'll be able to get a couple of those. So that'll be a pretty limited thing, and it'll be a real physical print with a really cool render or two. So that should be pretty awesome. So that'll be my first official NFT, but I have some others I'm going to try to do as well that are sports related, because I had an issue with the production of something that has fallen through, and the client was really a jerk about it. So I had to demand some pieces back, and so I can do whatever I want with them. So I'm going to sell them as NFTs. They're a big tribute to Michael Jordan, and they're just one of two, really. Both really unique tributes to Michael and the Air Jordan. So that'll be something I'm trying to just, give away, or not give away, but like, sell off to whoever would like to purchase the sculptures with an NFT image as well. Again, very unique, only two of them from me ever. So those will be pretty hot items. I love Michael Jordan too. I think he was the man. He is the man. So yeah, anyway, so those are NFT info / Raptor info. But yeah, I'm really proud of my Raptors, because I think still they are absolutely like the most accurate, screen accurate versions of the JP Raptors you can probably get anywhere. And they're not even molded, they're 3D printed each, so you don't have any potential like fudging, with like mass production or something, where you get kind of a smoothing out a lot of times of detail, or missed elements. It's made with a lot of love and care. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of them. And I think anyone who's got one who loves them, they freak out. They're incredible. Because I was unlimited in the time I spent on them. Unlike any other commission, usually in the past, they would have a very limited time and budget. So there's only so much detail and time they could put into something. But this I've spent, on and off months, if not even maybe a year of time on and off working on this stuff and improving it here and there and going back and touching things up and whatever. So it's each one's unique too in a lot of ways. Each one's individually 3D printed. So yeah, there's a fair amount of value to that, I think, and people seem to love them. So yeah, I mean, if you're ever curious, guys, if you want to see my work or you want to pick up a Raptor or whatever, this is my site. You can find me there. You can find my work there, and you can find my store there. Just click on store, and you can see what I have available. Exodus saying having a pet raptor would be amazing. Have to worry about feeding that thing, though. Yeah, you have to worry about it killing you or eating you. Talking about the dietary needs of the dinos. Rather reminds me of the scene from the first movie where they came across the Triceratops, which ate some modern plants and made it very ill. Yep, exactly. Jesus saying sculpted an apple the other day. Thanks for the support. You're welcome. I mean, I'm not sure it was me that gave it support, but I mean, sure. Probably Pixologic at large, I guess. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for streaming today. It was fun watching you work on Neo and engaging with you on such interesting and varied conversation. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you, Heron. My pleasure. For sure. Thanks for streaming. I subscribed on Insta. Thank you. How would I say that? LD. Anyway, all right, ladies and gents. Thanks so much for sticking around. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Go get some tacos. Oh, my stream helped a lot with motivation. Awesome. Well, I'm glad. That's what I try. So, and yeah, again, if anybody wants a session or scheduled mentorship, please hit me up with an email or a direct message on Insta, and we can go from there. All right, guys. Take care. Stay well. We'll see you later. Next Sunday, I think. Yeah, next week is Sunday. So, this coming Sunday.